Welcome to Punching In, Hard Knocks and Highlights, the podcast about finding new opportunities, overcoming life's toughest challenges, and celebrating the wins along the way. I'm Wade Odum, an accomplished sales, business, and entrepreneurial professional. But not only am I a professional in the boardroom, I'm also a family man, musician, and athlete. Join me as I share my journey to land the next dream job while helping you chase yours down too. Let's punch in and get started. Welcome to the show. This is our next episode. I have an awesome guest here today. I'm so happy to have him on here. He is a leadership growth strategist, resilience and mindset development facilitator, and was recently named one of the top 10 leading speakers to follow in 2025, listed along names such as Mel Robbins. And I know you've heard of her. Let Them. It's a great book. He's also the founder of Bergeron Wellbeing and an 8-time Ironman athlete and the author of Cake on the Floor. Perfect book. Holidays are coming around. Pick one up for you. It's a philosophy about how the turns of life that are unexpected and the challenges and how you turn them into opportunities for growth. There are so many other things that we could say about this guest, but I would love to just let him kind of explain the rest of his life and how he got to where he's at. But I'd love to welcome our guest today, the one, the only, Ramsey Bergeron.
Wade, thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Yes. All right. So the viewers don't know this, but you and I have known each other for pushing 25 years.
Yeah.
Like 2003.
Oh, before that, 2022, 2021, somewhere in there. Yeah.
No, 2003. Like,
Oh,
that's when I moved to.
Yeah, you're right.
I moved to Memphis in 2003.
I meant 2003, not 2023. Yeah, the future's weird, man.
It is. Hey, welcome back. So Ramsey has come a tremendously long distance to get where he's at. And it's interesting how tables kind of turn, but this dude right here is one of the main reasons I'm actually even doing this show, to have the wherewithal to do it. And I'm so excited. This is, I don't know, it's kind of breathtaking. But what I'd like to do is have Ramsey just tell us a little bit about where you came from. I'm going to tell some stories, and I want you to tell some stories. But the main, I guess the title of this episode is Reinventing Yourself. So tell us a little bit about your past, the journey, and now where you're at today.
Wow. I don't even really know where to begin with that. I guess I'll start at the beginning. My name is Ramsey Bergeron. And even from a young age, I had a kind of unique perspective into the world. I was born overseas. My parents were in the United Nations. My dad's American. My mom's Palestinian. And moved whenever I was 5 years old from Switzerland to Arkansas. So grew up as a half Arab in Arkansas, which in and of itself had its fair share of challenges. Grew up with kind of a lot of self-loathing, feeling like a second-class citizen a lot of the time. Went to college, Mississippi State, and then moved to Memphis. And that's when I met you. I was working at JBC Entertainment. Started off as a DJ, worked my way up to the National Director of Field Marketing within 5 years. And then they had me transferred to Arizona, then move around the country. And they wanted me to move back to Memphis. And I said, nope, I quit. I'm going to move to Arizona and find something. So came out here and eventually got into the fitness industry. Had my own personal training business for about 15 years. And it was going very well. And then when COVID happened, I pivoted and decided I wanted to help people in a more profound way due to some circumstances in my life, and founded Bergeron Wellbeing. And that's the 20,000 foot view of just a couple of different major pivots that brought me to where I am today.
Let's kind of expand on where you currently are.
Okay.
And how the business world has, I guess, benefited you and challenged you. Because I know this particular road to get where you're at, it's like you said, it kind of started in COVID and you had to pivot. And it's not like all of a sudden you snap your fingers and now you're getting more speaking engagements than you can handle. Like, I know you're growing to that point now, right? but it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So kind of tell me the grind, because that's what this is about. This whole podcast is about the professional world, how you, and specifically this title of today's episode, Reinventing Yourself.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, you were a DJ, then you managed nightclubs, then you were a personal trainer, and now you're a motivational coach and teacher and inspirational, personality. And again, you didn't snap your fingers and it just happened.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the grind, some of the pitfalls, some of the challenges that initially, maybe made you want to quit, but then you didn't. Tell me about that.
Well, fair. I'll even go back to start with the one whenever I was with Jillian's. They moved me out to Arizona, then had me go to North Carolina, then almost moved me to Albany. They wanted me to go back to Memphis. And I said, no, I don't want to go back. And so I was back in Memphis for maybe 3 months in 2006. And then I quit and moved back to Arizona and said, I'll find something when I get there. And just trusting in my skills that I would hit the ground running. At the time, it's also easy to say that because I was in my mid-20s when I did that and moved back out here. And I did find something. I got a job at a gym, one of the largest, most expensive gyms in Arizona. And I got a job in sales. And I was the last person in. And this was back in 2006. And then the bubble burst. And so it's no one's buying $2,000 down payment for gym memberships. So I was downsized and I was let go. Do not pass go, no severance. Today's your last day. Here's your things. Yeah. All right. Well, what do I do? So, I always wanted to be a personal trainer. You and I used to work out together in Memphis. I used to like
Absolutely.
to help people get in shape. So got started as a personal trainer working at a 24-hour fitness. And within 6 months became the athletic director at that 24-hour fitness. And then after a couple of years, broke away to start my own thing because the gym was making the lion's share of the money. And I'm like, well, I'm doing all the work. And so, started my own personal training business and did that very successfully, even kind of branched off to do different things. Like I did adventure travel for part of that. So I wanted to set myself apart. So I would take people on hikes in New Zealand and Norway and Patagonia and made that part of the business model, training people to see the world. And then when COVID hit, I had people on a waiting list. There was, I was working from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. during the week, and then doing weddings sometimes, still DJing occasionally on the weekends. And when COVID hit, I pivoted. And I think this is kind of to the heart of what you want this episode to be about. So many trainers I knew said, well, what can I do? I'm just going to sit back and ask for my disaster relief money and not do anything. So I started training in a local park, actually at the week before the shutdown, because my clients were mainly over 50 and they were concerned about COVID. So sure. I started training in a park. And then when the gyms got shut down, every trainer in a 10-mile radius decided to use that same park. So the park became just overrun with people. And I thought, all right, well, what's within my control here? So I, at the time, had a pretty big backyard in my house, and I built a gym in my yard. So I got the turf, I bought all the equipment, and during COVID, it was like 3 times retail, even just trying to get that. And even before that, I live in Arizona, so it's mainly desertscape. So I weighed rocks in my yard and wrote on them with nail polish how much they weighed. And then I would use recyclable grocery bags for people to do
Can I get some
curls.
pictures of this?
Yeah, for sure. I've even got video of me like weighing them and writing the.
We're putting this in, so send that to me. We're getting that. Go ahead. Yes. All right. So you're writing on rocks and you using shopping bags. Go ahead.
Yeah, and doing what I could. Like, all right, well, I have to make this work. I mean, cavemen didn't have Bowflex, adjustable weights. Just so we can get in shape just using stuff we have. So
right.
That, and then, something really, a good friend of mine who I grew up with, I've known since I was 5 years old. He moved out to Arizona a few years after me. In July 1st of 2020, he essentially had drank himself into a coma and passed away. And the hospital let me in. I couldn't believe they were going to let me in to visit him, and I did. And watching my best friend die at 42 years old really changed me. And it made me realize, like, what in the hell am I doing with my life? I knew I wanted to do more. I was meant to do more than help people work out. And his mom had gifted me his car because it was a brand new Camaro, which I sold and went back to school to become a certified coach. And even along the journey from being a coach to what I do now, it's transitioned so much. I thought I was going to be sitting at a desk coaching people all day, similar to the one-on-one training I was doing whenever I was a personal trainer. And I've just kind of leaned into where the job has taken me. It's mainly speaking and then facilitating leadership packages, like 6-month contracts with organizations, helping them figure out their mindset and how to manage stress. I would have never imagined where I am today. But I think just viewing what setbacks with curiosity, all right, well, what can I do? What is within my control? And because I've had to do that so many times in my own personal life, or even in my professional life, it's resonated with the companies that bring me in. Because I'm not just some guy who's a trust fund baby who had it all. It's like, no, I've really had to work hard and pivot to get to where I'm at. And using stories from my life just to try to help, people identify with that.
Man, well, I know, like, I've been with you on a lot of the journey, but there was that gap when you and I didn't really talk for, a while. And it was during that while that when we reconnected, you were a different dude. Like, you were a different dude. You were being endorsed by EAS and on the cover of magazines and running Ironman. I was like, what's really going on with this guy? And it was fantastically impressive. My buddy is now a celebrity. I mean, I remember, because you resemble Vin Diesel, right? I remember I told you I was going to throw some stories in.
Oh, no.
But I remember Ramsey and I I had mentioned in another episode when I worked for Dr. Pepper, I had the keys to the city, basically. So I had, endorsements with all of the venues, like the Pyramid, FedEx Forum, all of the cool places to go see sports. So I took Ramsey, I said, hey, we got floor seats to the Grizzlies. He's like, can I borrow those sunglasses? Because I had a pair of like indoor-outdoor sunglasses. And he goes, I want everybody to think I'm Vin Diesel. So we walk into I don't know, was it the Forum or were we with the Pyramid?
I can't even remember. It's been so long ago.
I think it was the Pyramid, because they moved from the Pyramid over to
Yeah.
FedEx Forum. Me and Ramsey walk in, he's twice my size and literally looks like Vin Diesel, and everybody's coming up to him and talking to him.
Well,
He
this
was hamming it up.
This is in the infancy of the internet, right? So 2003. So no one can really Google it. So it was fun while it lasted back in my 20s, doing some impersonation stuff. And I don't know how many. I'm sure there's pictures of me because people wanted their picture taken.
Yeah.
That people have, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's not. Like, it's so funny, and I think it's actually representative of who I used to be, where I didn't like or know who I was, and so I was cool wanting to be someone else. And that I was an actor. Like I've done commercials and films, and part of this was just an escape. And I don't know any other way I could have lived my life to get to where I'm at today. So like when we reconnected, I was that spokesperson for EAS Sports Nutrition, and part of the reason that they had me come on board was, my father died from diabetes when I was 12. So he had both feet amputated. He had gone blind. He was on dialysis 3 times a week. And I didn't want to be a prisoner of my genetics. And that was my slogan. And so I was going on to do these Ironmans, and I had back surgery when I was 19 years old. I had 3 ruptured discs in my back. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't walk. And other people may have told themselves, well, this is my story. I've got a bad back. I can't walk, or I've got diabetes in my family. I think so many people sit back and allow the excuses of life to define them and justify a mediocre existence. And
this dude ran 8 Ironman, Joe, and he's had ruptured discs. So what's your excuse? Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think it's the stories we tell ourselves. And that's really what I think I don't want to say my superpower, but my ability to help other people recognize is most of the things limiting you in your life are the stories you tell yourself more than the things that happen to you. So when all those things happened in my childhood, I could say, well, the world's not fair. And I know a lot of people that have victim mentality. You and I have some mutual friends that have victim. This isn't fair. It's so and so's fault that I'm where I'm at in my life. That's
Right.
not all right. Well, I'm not saying that the world is fair. It might not be, but what is within your control within that? If you
Right.
feel that your company, there's no upward mobility, there's nothing you can do. Well, what are you doing to showcase your skills? Like with Jillian's, I started off as a DJ in the bowling alley. And 5 years later, I'm the national director of field marketing. That position didn't exist. They created it for me. So what are you doing to really showcase your skills? And, if you sit there and say there's no opportunities here, well, then create one. And if you can't, then go somewhere where you can. We're so
Yes.
scared to try. We're so scared to take a leap of faith and believe or invest in ourselves.
That's kind of why I started this, because I was like, all right, I'm applying for 15, 20 jobs a day. I'm not getting any responses. The internet is the most powerful tool in the universe that's free. Why don't I put something out there to showcase me, to showcase that I'm more than just a regular dude, and that I have relationships that
Yeah.
can also help other people get where they're trying to go. So that is very cool that you kind of have that story. There's one other story that I was going to bring up about back in Memphis. This is this is all complimentary. All right. So
No
I
judgment.
told Ramsey there was a couple of, I gave him a script. I'm kind of going off script here, but he is the best, like literally the best at being authentic. And this is where I'm trying to take you. So there was a charity boxing match in Memphis, and Ramsey was a bad dude. Like he was big and everybody was scared of him because, he was that guy in Jillian. So he was not only the DJ and the manager, but if there was ever any problems, he fixed them. Like he drug people out of the club and put them in the street and then went back to work. So
Only if they deserved it, and if it's
yes,
completely
it there was no, it wasn't, he was not a mean person because he had a business to run.
yeah.
Like he wanted people to come to his club, not come there and hope that
Well,
they were
so
going to get
if we
beat up.
had, I guess to clarify, the if someone spiked a drink, if we caught somebody putting something in a drink or stealing from the bar, like stealing out of the tip jar,
Yeah.
they may have accidentally fallen on the way out of the club before they were escorted to the police. We don't know how it happened. There were accidents. We did our best to take care of everybody.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking
Exactly.
about. I wasn't there for all of them. But anyway, so there's this charity boxing match, and it was about Beale Street. Like, all of the clubs on Beale Street, everybody who
No,
had
it was a
anything to
fundraiser
do.
for a fraternity at University of Memphis was doing a fundraiser for a charity. And so, because we had the biggest college night, so it was their fundraiser for that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So forgive me. So Ramsey is this big burly dude. And this was before, mind you, this is before I had even started fight training. Okay. So part of many of the topics of this podcast is revolving around the fact that I used to be an MMA fighter. This is before I even did any of that. So Ramsey's like, hey, you're my best friend. Come be my corner man. I'm like, cool. So I'm smoking a cigar in the corner. This is whenever you could still smoke indoors. And
Pictures of this I'll give you too to put up over this.
so we're fighting, and Ramsey had never been in a longer fight than I'm taking care of this guy. He's leaving, and it's gone. Well, this was 3 rounds of, sanctioned. You had to sign a waiver. The clock is on. You're not stopping, and either you're knocked out, or you quit, or the bell rings. So in between rounds, Ramsey was doing pretty well, but he was getting gassed, like cardio wise. He wasn't getting beat up, but he was getting gassed. He's like, Wade, I want to quit. And I said, bro, you can't quit. You can't quit. I said, do you understand the reputation you have and how strong you really are? Get out there and go. Ended up winning the fight, and he wanted to quit. Like,
Well,
it wasn't like, you did well.
so
You did well.
I think there's 2 different fights you're combining, because I did it 2 years in a row. The first year, I think I went out and hit the guy once and he quit. Like he's like, I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore. The second one, the one you're
Well,
mentioning, I
yeah.
lost that fight. And
Did
I,
you
I,
lose?
I lost
Okay.
the judges kind of declared it because I went in so cocky because the guy I was fighting was so much smaller than me. I'm like, I'm going to destroy him. I didn't realize that the reason that heavyweights don't fight lighter fighters is because the lighter fighters would destroy the heavyweights. Because
They can move.
one punch I'm throwing, dude's throwing four. And
Right.
I didn't account for that. I went in with an ego thinking like, oh, I won last year in like 15 seconds. The dude quit. This guy will too. He did not quit. And it was a
Wow.
very humbling
Okay.
experience. Oh yeah, trust me. I remember that loss, and it was very, yeah, especially in front of everybody. That was right before I left Memphis. It was kind of like I
The
saw
point
it
is
was,
you didn't quit. That's where I'm going with this,
oh,
is the grit that this dude has. You know, he wanted to, but he didn't. So anyway, explain a little bit more about that night and then how that kind of translates into your, that particular, I'm sure you weren't thinking, oh, that night that I was doing the charity fight, that's why I'm a motivational speaker now. But the fact that you have that grit in you, how does that translate into what you're doing now?
I think what separates people who are successful from people who are not successful is they're focused on the lesson, not the loss. And in life, there's going to be things that happen outside of your control. The only thing that you can control is how you choose to respond and perceive that. So whether it's that charity boxing event, whether it's getting downsized from a job, whether it's a physical ailment that prevents you from doing the things that you used to love doing for exercise, or the economy shrinking, or even I moved to Memphis in 2001 to start my DJ business, and then 9/11 happens. So no one's booking DJs. So there's always going to be something that can happen that's going to affect your business outside of your control. I can either go outside and scream at the sky that it's not fair, or I can say, all right, well, what can I do? And that's why I got a job at a bowling alley as a DJ. I got to do what I can and leverage the opportunities that I had. So I think that's what sets me apart. And I've had people all the time, whenever they ask, well, who built your website? Oh, well, I built my website. Well, who designed your book cover? Well, I designed my book cover. And they say, well, of course you did. You're Ramsey. Like I don't have any struggles, or I do everything well, which isn't the case. I just learn from things and I want to see what I can do and try. And I think that's what that growth mindset is what's allowed me to be successful.
That's fantastic.
Wait, you had it
Just
too, though. I want to point that out. Like, whenever I was in Memphis, you were like you said, you were high on the hog. Like, you were doing very well, and you had even started your own business, your own cell phone, company.
yeah.
And you had staff, and you were managing locations. And if you wanted to do something, you would go do it. You were very successful with it and very driven. And that's why, like, whenever we've been, as I started this journey now into coaching, you were one of the people that's kind of been along with me. Like I started a radical acceptance course early on. You took that course, and watching, life happen. I know the hustler that's inside you, and I really appreciate you having me on this podcast. And when I heard you were doing this, I was like, dude, I am so proud of you right now, because you're doing it right. It's like, let's see what can happen. And that's, I think,
Right.
what got me to where I'm at is let's just try. Let's just see what we can do.
Yeah. Well, like, man, there's so many stories that I just want to talk about, but mostly I want to find out that you can share with the listeners. Professionally, what do you think, like, whenever you're going out and getting new business, as a small business owner growing into a large business, speaking that into existence for you, what do you think a company is looking for in a new hire, in your situation, in your, the skill set that you deliver? You've been doing this a while now. So, a lot of this web or this podcast is for people who are doing new things, who are trying to go be employed and trying to get ahead in life. What do you think these companies are looking for that allows you to go provide that service to them? How do you become appealing to them so that they want to hire you?
Like, are you talking about are you speaking to like me, Ramsey, or someone who's looking
Yeah.
for a job?
Well, we can go twofold. Sorry, I just kicked the table. But twofold. One, you, Ramsey, because I want to
Yeah.
know about you. I mean, we're showcasing, Bergeron Wellbeing, and I want to know what you have to go through, the rigors that you have to go through to get a gig. And then after you explain that, what do you think just an average professional needs to go through in order to get recognized? So first, what do you go through?
Well, 5 years of trial and error figuring out what my proof of concept is of what exactly is my offering and having it adapt and grow along the way. So now I'm fortunate enough to where companies have started just reaching out to me, where they've heard about me, they want me to come in there. And usually I start with my 1 hour keynote about your powers and your perspective. And once I come in and do that, companies, they see my energy and see the benefit of how I can help the mindset of the leadership team. And then I have an assessment that I have people take to show them how stress changes how they show up. There's different reasons companies hire me. They're either by and large, people right now are overwhelmed. People feel they're burned out. They're having to do more with less. I also help a lot of companies who promote internally, which I think is fantastic. But you take a salesperson and make it a sales manager. No one's taught them how to be a leader. No one's taught them what leadership skills are. How do you develop other people and develop teams, which is essentially coaching. And so helping leaders learn how to be leaders is another huge element of what I do. And then stress management and emotional intelligence in the workplace. 75% of people that lose their jobs, it's due to emotional intelligence, whether it's the inability to handle interpersonal conflict, to inability of leaders to manage during times of crisis. It really factors so much more than we know. And I'm glad that it's a day and age now where we're starting to recognize the importance of teaching these quote unquote soft skills in the workplace. So when companies are seeking that out, I've just been fortunate to know people, the right people, the right time, and just say yes. Like I remember my first one ever, I applied to be on a speaking website, and the day I signed up, it was during COVID, a company said, hey, we're looking for a speaker to open up our leadership conference on Zoom. And I said, great, I'm your guy. What do you want it to be about? They said, we want it to be about stress management. I go, I've got just the perfect talk on that. And I didn't have anything at the time. I had no speech. I had no concept. I had just graduated from coaching school about 2 months before that. I'm like, you know what? I have it. I have it. It's beautiful. What do you want in it? And they told me, like, we're looking for this. You know what? I happen to have just the right thing for you. So as soon as we hung up that, I had 2 months to get it ready. So I remember I created the slide deck, and I had other people who graduated from the coaching school on Zoom. Luckily, because since it was on Zoom, I got to see my speaker notes while doing a PowerPoint. I ran it. I had friends come over, sit in my living room. I ran it, and fine-tuned it. And that was the basis for now my keynote that's really put me on the map. All because I said yes and
Wow.
gave it a shot.
That's amazing. So as we progress, this guy decides to write a book, Cake on the Floor. So tell me about how Cake on the Floor came about. First, I mean, you got to tell the story about the cake.
Yeah.
First, you got to tell that. And then I want to know the process that you had to go through, and again, the grind that you had to go through to get this book out. So tell me first, what is Cake on the Floor? Maybe summarize the book after the story. And then let's talk about what you went through to get it out into the public's hands.
So I was a wedding DJ for 20 years. So I've done over 800 weddings. I've DJ'd with Vanilla Ice. I've DJ'd with Paul Oakenfold. I've DJ'd for Playboy, for Hawaiian Tropics. So I have a lot of experience seeing a lot of events, which has been fun and fantastic. And that kind of led me to be able to speak in front of people. But I was doing a wedding maybe 15 years ago, and the bride went to cut her wedding cake, but the venue didn't lock the legs of her cake table out all the way. So she goes to cut it, this 5-tier cake falls all over the floor, and 300 guests all freeze and stare at her, waiting for her to just freak out. And she started laughing. And then everyone started laughing. I was like, what a cool way to respond. Like, how many of us would have done that? So that's kind of the main dressing of the book, is reacting versus responding to situations. And I talk about there's actually 7 different ways that bride could have responded. Everything from my wedding is ruined to food fight, to there's a whole different way that 7 different ways we can respond to any situation. And that's kind of how that started. So to write the book, I had started trying to write 2 other books that I didn't end up finishing. This one I really felt connected to. And I got a call from somebody, a company, who wanted me to come speak to their corporate offices. And they said, hey, have you ever heard of a town called Jonesboro, Arkansas? I said, well, yeah, I grew up there. They said, well, that's where we're based out of. We'd love to have you come speak here. And that call was in February, and they wanted me to speak in April. So my goal, I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to say, I signed copies of my book in my hometown for a corporate event. So I had 3 months to finish, to write the book, finish it, edit it, have other people edit it so that it was a little bit more just other than just me, and then design the cover, design the whole thing, print it, and ship it. So that was my job for 3 months. Like, I sat down, dedicated blocks of time. All right, I'm going to sit down for 3 hours today and see what I can do. And yeah, that's how it happened.
Well, I remember, I think it was March or April, a couple of years ago, when you first, like, when did this come out?
April of 2024, last year.
Okay, so it had to be last year, or did you have it the year before? Because you had one copy, and you handed it to me, and I'm like, can I have it? And you said, no. I cannot.
Well, when did you come to Arizona?
It was March or April.
Yeah.
And
so it wasn't done yet.
So
that was an author's copy that I needed to go through and proof and edit. So that's why it wasn't. Yeah. It was one of the originals.
So that is I actually held the very first copy ever put on paper. So it was pretty cool. I was looking at the graphics. There's actually cake like on the floor in the middle of a city. And did you design the?
So that is very, very, very early AI.
Okay.
So,
but you put all the prompts in and like kind of what your vision was to
and back
get it
then,
right.
This was like early 2024, like trying to tell AI to make a picture. It was like an entire cake sitting sideways on a floor. Like it didn't look like a destroyed cake. And then just combining images and stuff like that. So every image in the book was either one I designed in Canva or AI.
Wow. That's really cool because it's super pro. Have you put it, are you planning on putting it on audio?
Yeah. If only I had the voice for an audiobook.
Oh, shut up.
I've started doing it, but then talking about like my friend Eddie passing away, like I always get stuck on that chapter, just the emotion behind it. But that's an excuse. I need to sit down and record the audiobook.
Hang on, man. Like that emotion is going to draw in listeners.
I know, but
that you want to show that.
I know. I'm not saying I don't want the emotion, but I have to feel it. And I've recorded it like 3 times now, and it just gets so heavy that I just stop recording it. And honestly, like now, for the first time, I have a full-time assistant. I have a full-time assistant that's helping me with my social media and things like that. So I would say I have the time to record it, but as I'm having to scale, like I have some larger contracts coming up. I need to hire some more coaches. All that to say, I'm making excuses. I do need to record the audiobook.
I know a guy.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I'm so excited for you for being able to grow like that. So tell me what you think.
I want to go back to an earlier question. We never finished talking about what companies are looking for from people.
Yeah, that's what I was going. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no short answer because I'm learning so much about this generational gap of people that are applying in the workforce. So like, I'm flying to Montana Monday to talk with the Yellowstone County just HR people from, I don't know if you know that organization, HR
No.
managers. And
Okay.
that's kind of what I'm talking about is finding and retaining and keeping good talent and good leadership in organizations, and trying to find what the barriers of entry are. Because right now with AI in its infancy, that's the challenge is people are using AI to write their resumes, and then the companies are using AI to find the people. And it's hard to get that personal connection and interaction anymore. I think relying on your networks to be able to find organizations of people, go to networking groups, go to things like that to really find out where your skills could be utilized. And then doing what you're doing, like doing things like this to kind of get your name out there, to get the exposure out there, to use the internet to your advantage. What's the differentiating factor for you as an individual? Companies are wanting people who are hungry, who do think outside the box, people who don't just ask, what's the salary? People who ask, how can I be involved in the projects that your company's doing? I think those are the things are you showing your desire to help move the needle for their organization versus I want my paycheck every other Friday and benefits? Which, don't get me wrong, we all need to eat, but
Of course.
it's the energy you're showing up with, right? Like if
Right.
you're walking in there, like just kind of, not
Ho hum.
without confidence or ho hum or egotistical, no one's going to hire you.
True.
So it's a matter of being confident and hungry,
Right.
like curious, like be curious about, hey, what projects do you guys have coming up this year? I'd love to see how I'm able to fit into that or what I can contribute.
Sure. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I have consistently come with that sort of energy. The downfall most recently that I had, I just didn't do the proper research to learn as much about the company as I should have. And that's one coaching thing that I would recommend to anybody who may be listening is, like Ramsey said, don't take a job just for the paycheck. Make sure it aligns with your values. Do research on the company to make sure what they stand for and what they have been representing is exactly what you represent and stand for. Because money's something, it's great. You need it. Believe me, I wish I had more of it right now since I'm unemployed. But that is one of the biggest regrets I have, is that I accepted a job because it paid me a crap ton of money and I didn't do the proper research beforehand. So
Now, I
that's
do want
one
to
huge
throw,
thing.
I think there's a caveat though to put into that, because if
Okay.
we're talking about somebody in their 20s, this may not be their forever job, and that's okay. But what can I learn from this job? Like, all right,
Right.
this job might not be my forever thing, or I really want a job in pharmaceutical sales, and this is more of I don't know, insurance sales. But what can I learn about the sales process at this job?
Yeah.
So what can I learn here to take to my forever job, or when I start my own thing? Because I tell you, every job
Yeah.
that I've had has led me to what I do now. Like, I was in corporate offices, I was in corporate America. And had I not had that experience, I couldn't relate to corporate America. Even though
Right.
I say I don't want to sit at a desk from 9 to 5, but there are days now where I do sit at a desk for a long portion of it. But just understanding that this job might not be forever, but it's all about the journey. It's all about, this is a part of the whole. What can I take away from this to move the needle for me in the future?
Right. The sales jobs that I've learned from, I've been in a number of different industries, and every role that I've taken, I've learned something. And I have figured out that if you're a real salesperson, you can sell anything. You just need to be, trained
Yeah.
on what the product is and be able to communicate. So you have to be able to learn and then communicate what the message is and be able to gain trust quickly.
You know what's so
And
funny,
I
Wade?
think,
Right now, you're a salesperson and you're selling you. Like, and you're doing this podcast. Like, you're looking for a job. So
oh,
you're the commodity.
yeah,
So we're not talking about the oldest profession. We're talking about you looking for an opportunity. So you're
yeah,
you're doing this podcast. You're learning how to sell, and you're being real. You're being authentic. You're being vulnerable. I loved your first episode, and that's what you're doing. You get people to, hey, this is me, and that authenticity really shines through. And thinking outside the box, man, I love it.
I was nervous. I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the can. They haven't even been released yet. We will be releasing another one every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., by the way. So there will be a new one coming up this coming Saturday. Whenever this one airs, just know Saturday it's coming, the next one. I'm, you know, super excited that I get to talk with one of the top 10 most sought after and followed coaches in the universe right now, especially in the
Wow.
United States. To be next to some of the names that you're next to is amazing. Most of the time, as you progress, people are going to pay you to be on their podcast. So thank you for entertaining my wish to have you on. I hope that all of the things that you've spoken about can resonate with others. There is one more question that I have for you. And this podcast is all about the grind. It's all about never quitting. Tell me, you probably have a number, but tell me one of the moments when you were just like, F this, I'm just going to go take a nap and I don't want to do this anymore. Or was there just never that moment? I mean, talk about a hard day, because everybody has hard days, but then clearly you've overcome them. Tell me about a hard day.
I'm glad we can edit this pause out because I really want to give you a well thought out answer.
Sure, of course. Sorry to throw you off
No, I appreciate it.
target.
I don't want to just give you some trite lip service here, because I can think of one in my personal life. I've had a lot of hard days.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
remember.
those personal days translate into your professional life too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I hit this giant brick wall in my coaching career. It could have been, I had something happen in my personal life that just made me want to hang this shit up.
Well, it's not even a matter of wanting to hang this shit up. It's a matter of March of last year, right around the time I was writing my book.
Yeah.
My dogs are my family. I don't have kids. I'm not married. So I'm getting ready to go out on a date, and I go to pet my dogs, and I can't find one of them. And I found him, and he was already gone. He had just passed, Baxter, and he was my little guy. Like whenever Eddie passed away, I would take Baxter with me, and we would go kayaking together up on this lake. And he's just my little min pin, my little buddy. And then I had to go teach a class in Colorado 2 weeks later on emotional intelligence in the workplace. And I was going to take both of him and Gizmo, my other dog, with me on a road trip to Colorado. I took Gizmo with me still. We took Baxter's collar. I've had it on the rearview mirror on the whole trip. But I was a mess, man. And I allowed myself to be a mess. And that was really hard. And then recognizing that people, some people have to go back to work after losing a child or after losing a parent. Like life goes on. And I think so many times we try to compartmentalize and don't allow ourselves to feel. And we say, no, leave it at the door. We are human beings first, leaders and employees second. And being able to honor our humanity, I caused myself so much misery in my life by not allowing myself to feel. So there have been some hard knocks in my personal life that have really, some bad relationships that have really tanked me. Going through my divorce, I thought I was going to be a dad a couple of years ago, and my girlfriend lost the child. So there have been moments in my life that have really caused me to question a lot. But then I recognize that I can only help people to the depth of my understanding of their pain, and that our branches can only grow as high as our roots grow deep. So whenever somebody comes up and shares a story with me of something challenging they're going through, I don't one up them. I'm not like, yeah, well, listen to what happened to me, but I can sit with them and understand that I can feel how they're feeling and be there for them. Hey, what do you need from me right now? I'm here for you. That sounds like it's really a lot that you're dealing with. Professionally, I have had moments when I was first starting off that I don't know if I could do this, like companies that would pass on me or go for another speaker. And that, I've been an actor since I was in high school. So I'm used to not getting the part. And whenever you're an actor, they don't call to tell you don't get the part. You just see the damn commercial on TV with someone else in it. And you're like, that son of a bitch got it. I didn't get it. So I learned not to take things personally. So in my professional life, If I don't get one, that's okay. I'll follow up and say, hey, may I ask why you didn't go with me? Why you went with somebody else? And it's not like it's the last speaking event ever and the earth is going to explode tomorrow. It's like, well, great. If you ever need somebody in the future, would love to stay in touch. Let me know if you need me. And I have had that before where companies like, you know what, we hired so-and-so and it wasn't a great fit. We'd like to have you for our conference next year. So again, it's all a matter of perspective. But the hard days I have been in my personal life. And what's made them harder is not allowing myself to feel them, not taking that mental health day and saying, no, I've got to push on through and pretend like it didn't happen. And that's where trauma really affects us and where emotional intelligence factors in the workplace. The guy who snapped at work and flipped the table or punched a coworker, that wasn't born of that day. Like he's got so much stuff built up that he's not processing and working through that's gotten him to that point before he even walked in the door that morning. So allowing ourselves to be human, I think, is such an important thing to understand in the workplace.
The desperation, because obviously being unemployed, I've got 4 kids and a wife and a dog.
I see his cute dog running around.
Hey, we're there. Being able to provide for them in a way, it gets desperate, dude. And it's like, oh, I applied for 20 jobs today. Nobody called me back. Look at my bank account. Shit. I got to sit back down. I got to apply for 20 more immediately. So it's just this never ending. I've got to perform. Can't be much different when you're by yourself. Like you're your only resource. Like I'm talking about when you were going into this new endeavor and you stopped personal training and you're strictly going into coaching.
Yeah.
I've got to get this next gig to pay rent. And then whenever that gig didn't happen, what am I going to do? That's I feel like sometimes, and I'm just projecting that. I don't know if that's how you truly felt, but I'm telling you, that's how I feel when I look at my bank account and I know that we need to go get groceries.
Yeah.
And we need money, right? So guess who needs to go make more money? Me.
Yeah.
So how did that feel when rent's coming and this is my only way right now?
Yeah. So I think it's when we look at the world in black and white, we don't get to learn because most of the world is in the gray. So now my main focus in clientele are working with organizations, working with leadership teams. But I first graduated from coaching school. It's not like this is how your coaching business is going to look. I was doing online courses. I was doing workshops targeting people going through divorce. I was doing 5-day masterclasses on emotional intelligence, and I was going to bundle and sell them online. I was finding people one at a time to coach and train. So it's like, all right, well, what can I do? What can I do to earn? It's like, what can I do right now? If I don't have a job, if I sat down and asked ChatGPT, hey, this is my skill set. What could I do to earn money today? Have we done that? What options? And there's a difference between like loneliness and solitude. Like when you're alone, you can either view it like, oh my God, I'm lonely, or I'm in this solitude I can create. It's all a matter of perspective. So I get to invent this. I get to make my business whatever I want. I get to create these methodologies. I filed for 2 trademarks last month. I'm waiting to hear back from for my coaching methodologies. So it's like, what do I want to do? Go fucking do it. Like so many of us are so scared to just try. And if we're like, well, no, I need to find a job as a sales leader or manager, it's like, fuck it. Maybe I'm going to go down, I'm going to volunteer at the local YMCA and work with kids. And through that, I'm just going to find a sense of fulfillment, even if I can't get a paycheck. Or maybe I'm going to call a friend and say, hey, I'm just going to run errands. What do you need done? You need me to pick up your dry cleaning? I don't care, man. Right now, I just need to bring in some kind of income. Like leaning on people that are willing to help. Because Wade, I remember when I was in Memphis, you were there for me. I mean, I was scraping nickels together to try to have gas money. And I remember you made a very generous offer for me to be able to help out, to help me out. And, I'm always appreciative of that. And that's why, like, whenever I would have a course, I would always like, Wade, come on in, man. Like, I wouldn't charge you. Like, I wanted to pay it forward for you to realize your greatness. And that's why this podcast is so awesome, is because you're leaning into it. you're like, fuck it, man. I don't know how to do a podcast. Here I go. Let's do it. And it's awesome.
I appreciate it. Well, I hope that this has been enjoyable for you. Thank you for sitting with me for a while. I hope whoever is watching has learned something. If you like it, subscribe, share it. Bergeron Wellbeing. Go to his website, hire him like today, like call him up. You know, he'll answer the phone.
Maybe.
Maybe it's a weekend. You know, he might have a date.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. He's a busy guy.
I don't know when this comes. Might or might not. I don't know when this episode is going to drop. So I don't.
True. He might be married by the time this drops. Who knows? But Ramsey, thank you so much for being with me today. This actually went almost 60 minutes. So we may put this into 2 episodes for sure.
And if anyone, hire Wade. I'm telling you, hire Wade. Like I haven't met a lot of people in my life that I would give that kind of endorsement to. But I remember whenever I first moved to Arizona and I was trying to find myself, because whenever I was with Jillian's, that was my identity. I was that nightclub guy. And whenever you shift careers, especially for us men, that's your sense of identity. So who the hell am I? I remember I would think WWWD, like what would Wade do? Because Wade was such a calming, hey, nothing bothered Wade. It was like, all right, well, what can we do? What can we learn from that? And it's so nice to see you start to find that again. And knowing how you're able to adapt and think outside the box, any organization would benefit from having you on their team. So that's my personal endorsement for Wade Odum. Hire Wade Odum. If you do have to fire him, don't blame me, because that's on you. He's a good dude.
I appreciate it. And with that, we will call it a day. Thank you so much. Thanks for punching in today, and keep continuing to punch in. Like, subscribe. Peace out. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade.
See ya. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Punching In, Hard Knocks and Highlights. If today's episode gave you some insight or encouragement, share it with a friend who's chasing their next big opportunity. Don't forget to check the show notes for my resume and ways to connect. Until next time, keep fighting, keep learning, and keep punching in.